So as some of you already know, earlier today I went to a Reform UK press conference led by Nigel Farage, a good friend of mine. But there was an interesting thing that happened. So I managed to ask a question on behalf of Tousi TV, on behalf of you guys, mostly because the rest of the so-called mainstream media, the corporate media, were all acting like a bunch of parrots, NPC parrots, repeating the same thing, asking the same boring question about how voting for Reform UK will be split into conservative leaning votes and the Tories will lose and Labour will get into government. They've already asked these questions about 50 million times, but they kept doing the same thing. So I thought, considering the press conference was in Dover, in Kent, where obviously the illegal migrant boats get there, and the whole announcement was actually about illegal migration, right? And how Reform UK have policies to turn back the boats and leave ECHR and all that. Fair enough. But I thought it's important to also ask a very simple question. What about thousands and thousands of people who are already here illegally? What are we going to be doing with them? Mass deportations, maybe? So I asked this, and Nigel Farage responded.
Right, okay, we've got a couple of hands still up.
Maya Tousi from Tousi TV. We've heard a lot from Reform UK in terms of policies to stop the boats, whether it's to leave ECHR or return the boats. What's your ideal situation for thousands and thousands of illegal migrants who are already here? Mass deportation, amnesty, or something else?
No, amnesty is a disaster. I mean, the only people that support amnesties are people like Boris Johnson, who did support an amnesty when he was Mayor of London. And if you have amnesties, all you do is give a big message, please come. Look, I make the point again. The Labour government of 2009-10 deported 45,000 people who've been here illegally. That's the only message you can send. If you come to the country, you won't be allowed to stay. And you know what? They'll stop paying 3,000 or 5,000 euros to traffickers if they know that's the message. Right, there was one more hand up there and then we'll...
Interesting. So, at least he rejected amnesty. But my question proved one thing that I already knew, that I know a lot of you guys watching this support Reform UK. Fair enough. Actually, it's still right now on paper in terms of policy ideas, still better than the Tories. We get it. I get it. But considering we need a bit more radicalism in British politics right now, even the alternative party that is claiming to want to target the mainstream parties, the red and blue, Tories and Labour, they're not brave enough to be radical enough to talk about mass deportations, for example. Nigel Farage didn't really answer that question, did he? He didn't really say any sort of policy. And if you're not going to do mass deportations for the illegals and the foreign criminals and all that, then something else. And if you're not going to do amnesty, maybe something else, right? Anything. But they didn't really want to answer this. As a party, that is one of the main issues that need to be sorted because no other mainstream politician is brave enough to even talk about it. Everybody's talking about the boats, as if the small boat is the biggest crisis. No, we got bigger problems than just the boats. We got a mass migration illegally and legally happening. And we literally have ghettos all around the country. Multiculturalism is no longer multiculturalism. It's basically one culture dominating over the rest of us. But they're not talking about it. This is the main issue. Now, Nigel at least has also talked about the issue of multiculturalism over the last couple of days. That's good. Perfect. Good, Nigel. But we need more radicalism. Also, when I asked the question, and when Tousi TV asked the question, basically, you should have been in the room. Oh, the vibe changed immediately. These were the faces of the corporate media. They were like, oh, what? Who is this? Why is he asking a question? It's just a good analogy of the reaction we got from the corporate media. Funny enough, afterwards, they all came from BBC and Sky and all those guys came and said hello to me. Now they know who TCTV is.